I feel what California is trying to do is admirable. I wish for them to not create themselves a ecosystem that people want to opt out from because it is preventing the value that this innovation could potentially generate for their business.
Hello and welcome to the Test Community Network weekly update. My name's Tim Bennett. I hope you're all safe and well. As ever, as we go through this, if you do want to find out any more information about anything I share within this, then make sure you go to testcommunity.network. It's free to join, subscribe. You get updates, weekly email blast that tells you about all the events that are coming up and my editor's top picks. In this week's episode, I've been talking to Bernhard and Stefan from Biz Examiner, which is an organization based in Austria providing digital assessment services. And we talk about what they offer, we talk about what's happening in Europe, we talk about AI and the potential it has for examinations and testing and going beyond. And we also talk about the impact of the EU AI Act. So stick around for this. So updates coming up from myself. So don't forget, we've got the Test Community Network podcast with It Depends with Amanda Danis. This is where myself and Amanda unpack psychometrics for you. And we've had some really great interactions recently on social media, on LinkedIn. People commented on the post, commented on what we're actually saying. Now, we're actually recording another episode this afternoon. So if you've got any questions you want to raise with myself and Amanda, then please do send them through and we'll get them through. So make sure you go to podcast It Depends, or you can search it out on your favorite podcast platform. I've also got the last of my workshops that I've been running in August. This is about looking beyond assessment. It's an AI workshop looking at all the amazing technology solutions. And I've had two really good, fascinating sessions with delegates. And we've really kind of unpacked and given a personalized view for them as to what's happening with the digital space and how everything that's gone out there with AI and generative AI could ultimately change and impact our world. So make sure you check those out. One last session next week, 4 places remaining on that. Another news, we've got a webinar coming up on the 12th of September. That's at 11 a.m. BST. This again sponsored by Excelsoft, and we're going to be working with one of their organizations. It's going to be a case study look at how they've gone beyond assessment, gone international, gone global with their examinations. And we've got another special guest joiner as part of that session. So more details to follow, but you can go to the It Depends website, the testcommunity.net website to make sure you register and make sure there's a link in the show notes for this as well for that. Also a reminder, so Amanda from Danis & Company, the person I do the lady I do the podcast with, they've got their office hours session coming up on the 5th of September. So if you search out Danis & Co, if you've got any psychometrics questions, they will happily sit down with you and go through those. Other events that are taking place. So we've got the webinar, the EAA doing a webinar on online proctoring research. So I've been kind of involved in this a little bit. I've been looking through the data and the report they generated, but Pat's going to be giving a webinar just to kind of explore exactly all the findings from that. And in either next week or coming weeks, hopefully as well, I'm going to be talking to another lady who's been doing some research around online proctoring. So make sure you stay in touch with that one. But you can sign up to that through the AA website. We've got the event that Amanda mentioned with Amanda coming up on the 5th. And then I'll be sharing as part of the ticker today all the kind of in-person events that are going on as well. Now, I've also added a new feature on the Test Community Network website where the event section where you can see all the new things that I've added in, new events that I've added in, so latest updates. So not just about what's coming up, but you can see where I'm picking up new stuff and sharing it. So that's it for me. I'm going to switch now to the interview I had with Bernhard and Stefan from Biz Examiner, where we explore all things kind of Germany, global digital assessment, AI, EU AI Act. So it's really worth you listening to this conversation. So thank you, and I'll speak to you after this. Bernhard, Stefan, thank you for joining us. So what we're going to start off, we're just going to kind of explore a little bit about your marketplace, your business, your kind of perceptions of the future, what you're seeing in kind of trends. Stefan, do you want to tell us a bit more first, though, about Biz Examiner? Just explain a bit more about the work you do.
Yeah, definitely. Glad to be here. Thanks for having us, Tim. So Biz Examiner is a enterprise assessment solution and has been around for quite a while. So we have a lot of experience in the German-speaking regions, but now are really serving a global set of customers, and doing that through SaaS-based services as well as on-premise solutions. And we really pride ourselves to be serving quite a diverse set of customers. So we do have some institutions that are incredibly finicky, so to speak, and have some really tough requirements. So Bernhard and the tech team have worked really hard to gain their trust and make sure that they know that they have a trusted provider that is serving their needs, and also helps them through some of the technological changes that the industry is facing, both on the assessment side as well as on their end. So institutions such as educational institutions, they see different trends affecting their business, affecting their users, and they definitely look for a trusted partner that has both the experience but also the longevity to help them through that. And so Bernhard has built an incredible reputation to be this holistic, trusted advisor for a lot of these customers and segments of the industry, to help them through some of those demands and technological shifts that we're seeing.
And just very briefly then, in terms of your capabilities as a platform, what is it? Just on-screen marketing that you serve? Do you do e-marketing? Do you do proctoring? How would you kind of very briefly describe the offer that you have in the market?
Yeah. So our offer really is a full stack offer that, by and large, has an incredible capability of integrating with a lot of the systems that are out there. So at the heart, we are a test driver solution. And so we facilitate the administration and execution of digital assessments for really any scale. Yeah. So from smaller to very, very large. And we have a host of integrations that provide full stack solutions to our customers, which oftentimes is really the deciding factor when we work with them. They work in an ecosystem of technology that they own, that represents an ecosystem of essentially organizational complexity. And our approach of offering services through our platform, but then also integrating with a whole host of proctoring solutions, for example, or a whole host of LMS systems, that gives them the security that they can start directly where they are today, without having to uproot a lot of the incredible investments that they've often made and things that they should very well be proud of, but really unlock that additional value that a lot of these solutions bring.
Excellent. And Bernhard, I can consider you as one of the kind of luckiest people on the planet, really, because you live in the beautiful city, or near to the beautiful city of Vienna, don't you, in Austria? And that's where you're based, isn't it, as the business? Do you want to just tell us a bit more about, you can tell us a bit more about Vienna if you want, but I would strongly recommend anyone to go there, and Austria as well. But do you want to tell us a bit more about what you're seeing in the market, what you're seeing in the trends, what you're seeing in Austria? What's the activity that's going on there?
Yeah, so as Stefan mentioned, so we are not only active in the German-speaking market, also in Western Europe and more international like US, Canada, and so on. But it's very interesting that we are based here in Vienna, and the education and the certification sector works a little bit different to the Western side in our perspective. But what we have seen the last years was a rush for everyone, especially in the public education, the higher education sector. First, the pandemic was hitting in. Everything was chaotic around doing assessments and doing exams. So everyone tries to do it from home with invigilation, without proctoring, and with security, without security. But everyone jumped over legal discussions about integrations, professional setups, and so on, because it has to be done very, very fast and flexible. And when the pandemic swiped away, the next thing hitting in, it was the AI stuff, ChatGPT and co. And some institutions in the public education sector was really thinking about going back to paper-based or to oral-based exams, because they had a lot of fear that the students will using AI for solving out the solutions, for doing the answers and stuff. And this was combined with first the pandemic, secondly the AI stuff. There was a lot of unsureness and insecurity in the decision makers. And this year we see that they are back on track. So they now have the experience of doing exams from home. They have the experience how to deal with AI, what it really is and what it's capable to do and what the students are capable to do with the AI. And also we did a lot of work in the last years to come over integrating with proctoring solutions, but also to provide our clients with a very robust cheating detection. In example, if you are using AI for solving out essays, in example, in the end of the day, you are using a second device or copy pasting generated content into your exam, etc., etc. And all this stuff has to be overcome by a technical solution with also the ability to dismiss exam attendances at the end of the day. When the decision makers see, okay, a student has tried to cheat and here is the protocol, and you see what has been done and was not. And also a trend for the next time, or which is currently hitting in, is that the public education institutions and also universities and higher education institutions are going more and more to bring your own device. So in the past, they had computer labs and they set it up test centers and run their assessments in a very, let's say, technical IT controlled environment. And now they are going more and more in the direction which they say the students have their own devices. They are using it for learning, and they also should be capable to use them for the assessments from home and on site in the institution itself.
Is that of a particular kind of age? Are we talking kind of higher education and beyond? Are we talking further education? Are we talking school there? Is that starting at a particular age?
In Austria and Germany, it's starting with an age of 12, 13 years of the students, but it's more in the college and university sector and in the universities of applied sciences sector that it's really used for reassessments. So the younger ones, they have the devices and they're using the devices in education and for learning, but not yet for examination. This maybe will change in the next 5 years, but right now it's more the higher education sector which is using their own devices for the exams itself.
That's interesting. And do you, just very quickly on you, because obviously you were saying about you're not just working in German-speaking countries, Austria and Germany, etc. You're working beyond in Canada and America. Are you seeing much difference? Are you seeing your platform is working in those regions? Are you seeing that it's working better in Canada than it is in the USA, or is there anything, are any of those kind of trends?
It depends fully on the vertical. So when we are talking about certification exams, in example, there is a big difference. So in US and Canada, the participants itself are the clients. So they have to register for an exam, they have to purchase for an exam, and then be carried out in a very standardized way with psychometrics and all this stuff, which is not the case here in Austria and Germany, or not yet. It's coming. We see it coming here.
Right.
And in other verticals like higher education institutions, it's very similar. And in the government sector, it depends on each client itself. So every government client is different.
Excellent. And Stefan, we're just, obviously Bernhard mentioned about AI there. And in terms of I suppose, everyone was a bit scared about AI. And rightly so. It can do an incredible job. You can answer questions and essays, and it's getting up to kind of high levels of standards in terms of being able to be to pass legal and law exams and become a doctor and things like that. Where are you seeing other trends in AI kind of adoption? Because you've got some wider kind of experience on this as well. So where are you seeing kind of other adoption use of AI, or where do you see it going?
Yeah, that's a great question. This is certainly a big question. Having been in the tech industry for 15 plus years now, I feel quite lucky to have seen some waves of technology swiping through. I remember the time when the web hit and what that meant.
You're showing your age now, aren't you? Really,
I'm showing my age now. I'm showing how good I kept for my age.
If anyone's listening to this, you need to. Stefan, he's actually 200 years old, but if you look at him, he looks 20. There you go. So go on, give us your kind of views then.
And then mobile came along, and that was another big wave that really changed everything, and had a similar pattern, but in a bit of a reduced speed. So I think what we see with AI now is just a very strong acceleration, right? And you can see that from the adoption curves. ChatGPT was the fastest growing consumer app of all times, even faster than Facebook.
Incredible, isn't it? Yeah.
Right. And one thing that these technologies always look for is an application that provides the right economics. And that really means that you can generate in the existing business sense, you can generate money that justifies the investment at some trajectory. And I think with ChatGPT, one thing that was a bit of exciting factor was the idea, as you said, that it could do a lot and you could envision a lot. But now we're in a phase where companies and also customers really expect for it to manifest in valuable ways. And that's a very different bar to clear than just generate excitement and get people to spend some time on it, right? Even though that was a huge feat. And that phase is the phase that we're in right now. So we're looking at things where, okay, now in earnest, where can this technology truly generate an economic advantage for me, either as a provider of a software solution, a developer, or as a user, right? And that's where we see a couple of themes emerge. And one of those themes specifically is the area of proctoring, right? So in proctoring is something that we see as one of the three pillars to ensure the integrity and value of the exam. And one thing that we are looking at is that it's also the most costly in many ways. So per test taker, ensuring a true integrity often requires either partially or fully another individual to observe what is going on and to monitor what is going on. And that part, that cost, is something that we saw being targeted in many ways over the last 10 years. And ML was a big one there. Signal generation that can be interpreted as a way to decide whether or not there are issues with the exam or the integrity of the exam, right? And that's really where we see a lot of activity right now. So there's a lot of technical activity on the capacity of an AI to take less structured data and make sense of it. That really can be a multiplier. If done right, and if it truly works out, this could be a multiplier for a lot of the proctoring providers to 10x, 20x the efficiency of their proctoring solution while keeping quality at an extremely acceptable, extremely attractive rate. And I think that will then in turn really convert a lot of the exam owners who are looking for efficiencies in how they bring their exams to market. And they're also looking for true evidence of quality, right? And the testing of AI, that's really an interesting side effect, right? Building the solution's one thing, having it play out is another thing, but the assessment industry provides the right characteristics for being a test bed for generating the right data to then refer back to in terms of quality, right? So it's not just that you can try and implement it, you can also try it in an environment that is highly testable and comparable, right? You can almost run an A/B test against an existing solution and from that really infer the quality. So the industry can hold itself to a high standard in that way. And I think that's really important, both for the industry at large, but also for the tech providers, right? Who would otherwise be likely criticized for launching something too soon that wouldn't have the right quality characteristics to retain the integrity of the exams in the overall industry long term.
And I suppose it's what's interesting what you're saying there is because people normally kind of think of the assessment industry as being very conservative in its adoption of technology, and you could almost say that we're always about 5-10 years behind the rest of the world in that. But yeah, it's interesting you're saying about it is, I suppose, but it's the quality of the environment is much better, isn't it, for that testing? I suppose with you both being in Europe, what's your kind of, I don't know who wants to respond on this one, but the EU AI Act, what's your kind of feeling towards this at the moment? Are you nervous? Are you comfortable with it? Do you feel well connected? Do you feel as though you know and understand the risks around it? Because obviously one of the pieces in there is the risk and education about decision making. What's your kind of feeling at the moment about the EU AI Act? Needed a better name for it, don't they? Who fancies answering that one?
Yeah, so maybe I will start. We do not fear the EU AI Act, and we see that the decision makers of our clients here in Europe feel a bit more comfortable when it comes to using AI and to have boundaries within they can trust that it's done right. That's the one side, and on the other side, no one really knows for 100% what it means for the daily job. So everyone knows that there is the AI Act existing and everyone talks about, but you cannot imagine what it means for the next 5 years. So it could mean that other countries or other sectors are growing with AI and building a more effective business and leaving Europe in behind. And on the other hand, it builds a bit more trust and takes the fear away of decision makers and also of users.
I think the trust one is an interesting one because, yes, you could see it where everyone is just so nervous and they don't understand it, and then therefore they don't implement it. But I think everyone recognizes that they need to be involved in AI. You're either going to be an AI. There's 3 stages that someone talked about in a webinar. I'll try and put them in the show notes if I find them. But you're either going to be a company that's using technology, AI, as a kind of at the forefront of the work you're doing, or you're going to be a company that's going to be wiped out by the fact that another disruptor is going to come in there and take over your business, your space. And I think every business needs to be very aware of it. But I think I've always seen this. It's like GDPR and stuff like that. When solutions come out of Europe, and especially with GDPR, I don't think people really understand GDPR, and there's still some kind of very much a broad difference of opinion as to what it means to your business. But yeah, there's that risk, isn't it, that companies will fall behind if they're in Europe because they're not, being, I suppose, kind of daring with it. Yeah, there was a guy at the EATP last year, actually, at Vienna. I think it was Ruben. He talked about kind of being in the Wild West of the AI forefront. And people don't necessarily want that. They want to be able to trust. They want to kind of take things on board. They want to make sure they're using things securely. So there is potential that people are going to trust European providers more than they would do kind of North America and etc. If they're not following that. I don't know if you're following the Californian kind of state-based legislation on AI. Have you seen any of that?
Yeah, I follow that a little bit. I do think there is something that you said that I want to unpack a little bit, which is that the landscape in Europe, or maybe Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and potentially other countries as well, is a more sort of policy connected or policy requirement connected ecosystem. And that does provide, in some ways, stability and in a little bit a safety net against disruptions that could threaten the integrity of some of these requirements, right? And I think that's why this network has been put in place. And it really isn't sort of isolated to the tech part of it. It is really multimodal in that sense, right? It goes to the institutions, it goes through to the requirements for skill building, if you want, the curricula, in the way that these things are put in place, and who can put them in place, and who can amend them, and who can sort of take them to market. So when you think about the tech piece, it is a small piece in the overall go-to-market effort, and that go-to-market effort is very much dependent on institutions and their policy requirements. And that's where I feel the EU is a blessing and a curse in a way. It's a blessing because obviously it preserves the integrity of the ecosystem, but it also limits a little bit the innovation capabilities and the growth capabilities, honestly, of some of the tech elements in that ecosystem. Now, when you look toward the US, then you see a little bit of the opposite. You see less institutional policy requirements at large. You see them, but they're obviously a bit more. There's more agency of the institutions to define them and to make them work in their favor. And technology can then play a bigger role, and innovation in technology can play a bigger role, and that can become a big benefit, right? Because one thing that we do know is technology is the third way to scale on the planet, right? There aren't that many ways that you could scale anything. So if you think about foundationally the space that we're in, which is, the growth in terms of skill and knowledge of the population, right? That's ultimately what learning, assessments, exams are trying to drive and foster. And then, you want to scale that, then technology is obviously one player. So I see a potentially change in pace there. And certainly I feel what California is trying to do is admirable. I wish for them to not create themselves a ecosystem that people want to opt out from because it is preventing the value that this innovation could potentially generate for their businesses, right? I think they need to realize they are not another country in Europe, right? They are a state in the most tech innovative country today in the world. And that could mean a lot more damage to them in that sense, right? There's a bit more downside, I feel, downside risk for California than there is downside risk for Europe. Europe's always worked in that modality, and I think that's just another point on that trajectory. And as Bernhard said, let's see how that shakes out. I think it means a known slowdown comparatively to countries like the US, who are much more innovation first. So I think California has more to risk than Europe in that game.
Yeah, I think there was one bit that's been removed now, I think, which was that companies could be sued before a disaster had even taken place.
Wow.
Yeah, apparently that was in there. People got crystal balls or something. It's like Minority Report, isn't it? Well, thank you very much. That's a fascinating conversation, and we kind of recommend that people do go and find a bit more out about you guys. So BizExaminer.com. If you want more information. Bernhard and Stefan are more than happy to speak to you. Are you both going to be attending the events and conferences coming up? Can people find you these coming up soon?
Yeah, so we are thinking about attending the ATP Europe in Berlin as delegates, and everything else will be decided in the next weeks.
Excellent. I do strongly recommend if people are based in Europe, then they do attend the Berlin conference. I love Berlin, and I also love the EATP conference. And you'll get the opportunity to see me running the Family Feud or Family Fortune game on, I think, the second day. So, I think I'll be wearing a sparkly suit for that, apparently. Nice. Anyway, you guys, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And obviously people can get in touch. And thank you for joining me. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Tim. Really appreciate it. Thanks for setting up this great call. Thanks for all the network activity and the role you play in the ecosystem for digital assessments. I really appreciate what you do. I follow you on LinkedIn. I think it's great. So we're really happy to be here.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, we'll speak to you soon. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for that. That was excellent. I was really quite touched by Stefan's comment there at the end. I do try to do my best to help the community and help everybody. Yeah, if you want more information, obviously go to BizExaminer.com. And as I mentioned there, we're talking about the Berlin conference coming up, EATP. That's later on in October. I do strongly recommend that you get yourself along to that. It's going to be a great opportunity for the Europeans to get together, but also for people from America to come along as well. Some fantastic presentations. I myself am involved in 3 now, I think. 2 definitely. Someone's asked me to join in another one as a facilitator. And there's also the Family Feud, Family Fortune activity I'll be involved in as well. It's a bit of fun as well as some amazing content to learn about. I'm going to leave you now. If you want to subscribe, go to testcommunity.network. I'm going to leave you now with just an update, really, a promo for the workshop that I'm going to be running. Last one's coming next week. And so if you do want to learn about AI and how it's going to affect assessment and what's going on beyond our little bubble, then please do get yourself signed up. It's only $49.95, I think it is, $49.50. So it's not much. It's an hour-long session, very personalized, and a good opportunity. I'll give you loads of links for you to follow up on things that are really going to make a difference to your productivity. But here's just a clip now, me talking a bit more about it, and I'll leave you with this. And thank you, and bye-bye. Hi, my name's Tim Burnett. I'm going to tell you a bit more about the Looking Beyond Assessment workshops that we've got coming up very soon. So if you don't know me, I'm a marketing professional working in the assessment and edtech space. I've been trawling and looking and reviewing and keeping a close eye on what's been going on with the AI space for a very long time now. And what I want to try and do is mash that together with you in taking everything that's going on out there beyond the assessment world and bring it into our space, so we can really look and analyze as to how AI and its creative and its generative AI capabilities are going to really start to influence our world. I'm going to take you very quickly now on a bit of a whistle-stop tour of what we're going to look at. So we're going to have a brief look at assessment in AI. We're going to look at some of the kind of applications where we're seeing some of the features coming in immediately, some of the ones that have been around for a long time, and we're looking at things like marking, etc. We're going to have a quick whistle-stop tour just to kind of refresh ourselves where we are there. Then we're going to look at the creativity side, and this can be around anything from kind of simple animation drawings to some of the more high fidelity and more in-depth, longer clips that are now being able to generate as part of generative AI. After that, we're then going to look at music and beyond. So we're going to start to explore platforms like Suno, where we can actually create musical and audio track. We're going to try out Play HT, which allows you to make super realistic audio voices. And then we're going to look at life and love within the assessment space. So we're not going to necessarily dwell too long on it, but we're going to look at just how AI is changing our lives and our mentality. And we're going to look at one particular use case where the idea that dating will take place completely in an AI space. We're then going to bring in some learning aspects to it as well. So we're going to talk about some of the kind of mini applications where we can see learning beginning to take shape. So personalized notebooks, Notebook LM, we'll have a quick look at that. We'll also have a look at things like Claude AI and the assets that you can now create within Claude. Then we're going to look at vision as well. So we're going to take it a little bit further, and we're going to look at how AI is able to read and interpret and understand the space. And that's going to be crucial, really, for it to start really making some groundbreaking moves within our world. And finally, we're going to be looking at things like robots and wearables and how technology is really going to start to become part of our physical well-being, as well as just being a kind of on-screen digital piece. And then finally, we're going to have a look at the future. We're going to work together and we're going to plan out what we think will happen over the course of the next few years in relation to how the AI will develop. Will it go micro? Will it be more kind of hardware? How cloud will develop? And how that's going to influence our activities within the assessment space. Seats are limited, so we've got only a limited space for you. It's only $49.50, and it's an hour-long workshop where you're going to join 8 of your peers. We're going to sit down and really analyze these things. And because they've got quite small groups, it's going to be a good chance for you to ask lots of questions and interrogate each other about your experiences, as well as understand all the kind of experience that I've got as well. So make sure you sign up. Not long to go, and I'd love to see you there. Thank you. Bye-bye.